there, Splitty. So, starting off, we're going to be giving just a bit of a general overview on what we're looking at today. Uh, Customer Voice itself is a general survey tool. You'll find it's available to most of you with your current systems. The general idea of it is just to send out feedback, get results, and it has a lot of setup integration with Power Automate and Dynamics by default. So to start off with, let's talk about how to actually get access to it. When you go to your portal.office.com or office.com, any of your general meeting areas, you can just go to the top section here, type in customer voice, and it should be your first result. Now, opening that, you'll be given a list of all your projects down here, and you can have any of them. They're generally folders and they're tied to different environments. The reason this is important is because a lot of the automations link to these same environments. So if you have it related to your sandbox environments, it's only going to be working with your sandbox results. Whereas if it's working with your production ones, it's going to be live and ready to go. For the most part, you can just limit how you test them and send them out, and they don't actually need to be tied to a full environment. You can have them on their default environment where there's no link to Dynamics whatsoever. To kick off, I'm just going to click New Project at the top right here. And you have a number of templates that are out of the box here. For this one, I'm just going to be going to blank and create a new one from scratch. So clicking there and then clicking next, it will then take me to which environment I want to tie it to. So it'll always show a default location, which will be your default environment. For what we want to do, we'll generally be working with production environments. So I'm actually going to tie this with our Matisk production and go create. Now, it'll take a few seconds to load up, but it will give us a completely blank survey. It's got a few standard things here for your feedback results, but here is the main survey designer where you can do anything you like. You can add logos, you can change the title, and you can add any questions you like. For example, as a first one, we'll just go with here, where we add a section in. I'm going to put in a rating and have the initial question be, how was your service today? Now, as I have learned, stars are nice, but the best result is always with smiley faces, because everyone loves smiley faces. You can change how many levels of it is there are as well, and make it required or not required. For the next section, I'm just going to add in, I'm going to press the plus sign to add a new section and add text of, do you have any other feedback as a sample question? And that's just going to be a general text question there. Now, if you've gone in and you want to reorder the questions, you can actually just move them up and down to switch places with them. If you've got one you want a very similar question to, you can copy them, you can delete them, and you can add choice, text, rating, date. There's also a few other options here of setting a ranking, so you can have options of which order you like them best, the net promoter score, and you can also have sections so that you can divide these questions into multiple pages. Now, there's a lot more functionality in this as well. Like you can have the post-survey messages, the footer at the bottom of each section page, and change them however you like. You can also start tying in different variables with them so that they can tie in and capture specific information or send out specific information. For the next component, I'm going to look at how you actually send these surveys out to people. So at the top here, we have the survey 1, and we just go click on send. Now, here are the 5 default options of how you can send it out of the box. You can have it as an embedded code, as a link, which is just a hyperlink, a QR code, an email, or an automation. The three that you'll encounter most commonly will be the link, where the surveys will be anonymous because you're just tying them to a general link. Email, where you can send it to people directly and have their results tied with their email. And automation, which is one of the things we'll be touching on today, where you can pull information in and start loading in people's names and any specific information that you might want to provide in the survey to them to have them a bit more interested. By default, it has the first name, last name tied in. So first of all, I'm going to click on automation here. Now, Microsoft has generated a number of templates by default. So if I click here and click see more templates, you can see we have the array here. All of these are out of the box and will pretty much work straight on as soon as you use them. We're going to be using the most popular one here of sending a survey when a case is resolved. So if I click on that one, it'll ask me to connect it up. It'll let me know it requires these connectors and that it'll be using my details to connect them. You can change them at this stage. If you have a user inside of your system that is purely for automations, it's best to make a connection there. For this one, I'm just going to be clicking continue. Now, it gives me the option of creating it or editing it before it's fully created, as well as letting me know which environment it will be sitting in. So for this one, I'm going to tie in with the production environment again, and I'm going to create it. Now, that is all set up and would actually run now based on that. So I'm going to switch to the actual automation itself to show you how it looks. So to have a look at the automations, will be in your make.powerups.com, and then you'll need to go to the same environment that you set it up, which should also be the same environment that the customer voice project is set up in. This is the one I created here called send a survey when a case is resolved in Dynamics. So pretty straightforward based on its name there. This is what its main details section, and then I'm going to press edit. Now, this is the one that I've just created. And if I open up all the different sections, you can see how it's connected to everything. This one, I know that this is going to be a bit more in depth than most of you will work with, but the main check of it is when a Dynamics case is resolved, it'll check if it is resolved or if it's cancelled. Then it'll check what account type it is, because you can tie a case with either a contact or an account. And based on which one it is, it'll send out the survey. It will do pretty much exactly the same result. The only thing that is missing here that needs to be updated is the actual email template. So if you see here, it's just got none attached to it. If I remove the custom result and click the default one, it'll update to use those templates, and we'll send those straight away. Now, you can actually have multiple email templates associated with one survey, but you'll also need to be able to customize and work with them. I'm going to switch back to the customer voice now and show you how you can actually work with the templates going forward. So now you can see we've still got the design section here, and when it has the automation set up, it'll show those additional sections. If I go here and click on email instead, these are the email templates that it's referring to. So if I click a drop down here, this is the default template that automation is looking for. I can also create a new one, and I can configure it with any kind of text. Hi, hello. anything at all your standard kind of Word functionality and changes, as well as some HTML editing there. Now, when you have the automation fully up and running, the view of it looks slightly different. I'm going to show one that I prepared a little bit earlier, where it has this send section here. These are the details it automatically generates. But if you want to update your email template after you have an automation like this running, you'll need to click Resend, go to Email, and then you can update your templates here. You can see with this one, I'm actually using embedded variables for the first name and last name, which it's pulling from Dynamics, as well as the company name if they're with an account. Now, stepping back to the general send section, you can see this is the recent invites, and this is for case management that we're using internally as a list of the automations, the runs, and the response rate. Now, here you can see there's been a total of 83, 75 was sent, 8 were not sent. That was generally because of missing emails, outdated emails, and that kind of thing. Then you have the responded and not responded. So it breaks it down to the ones that were unread, read, opened, and then your actual responded rate. If I jump over to the dynamic side, which this has all the integration with, you can actually see all of these invites in the activities lists here, as they are customer voice alerts, invites, and responses. And they're all tracked inside of Dynamics. So if you're working with activities at all, you can find all of those there. And if you go down further, you can actually see the specifics of responses. So for example, we have this one where it has the actual questions listed inside of Dynamics of the response and the actual feedback noted on it, when it was, which client it was with, and all those further details. Now, I'm going to jump back again to customer voice. So it shows you general stats here, and it's showing just the recent ones. If I click here, I can change the date period to be much further back in time rather than the recent ones, and set the period to be later. Now you can see we actually have a lot more results of it overall, and that is the breakdown there in a bit more detail. Now, this is just a general mechanic one to see how your surveys are going out with being received. To actually get the results of them at a high level, Customer Voice puts together an automatic reporting tool here. So what I'm going to look at on the far left side here is the case resolution survey. Now, if I click on that, it's going to show me the overall rating for that survey, how many results have been for each, and the actual text responses there. On the right as well, I have a list of all the correspondence with full details because it's all tied in with the Dynamics. And if I wanted to, there is an export all function where you can put all of this data out into an Excel sheet. Now, that's the main run from me. Buddy, do we have any general questions that have come up so far, or things that anyone wants to look at?
We got one. Okay, we have a few questions, to be honest, from the Q&A section. So the first one will be, do we need licensing to create surveys?
The customer voice licensing comes with a lot of the Dynamics licensing by default. So I believe if you've got Dynamics 365 Enterprise, you'll already have full access to the customer voice, and you can access it straight away.
Perfect. The second question, can the customer create surveys on their own?
Yes. Anyone can create these independently and work with them. You're free to work with these individually. You can send them directly through links. In fact, as a quick example, the one that I've created and very quickly here of how was your service day? Do you have any other feedback? If I click send and then click link, that'll provide me with a link for that survey. And I'm actually going to post that in the chat section. Now, anyone looking at it will be able to access that link and open the survey. So everything I've shown today, if you're looking at just making a very basic survey, you can do straightforward. If you're looking for anything more technical, or if you're looking for a bit more detail on how to use variables, making more custom automations, things like that, that's definitely things we can help with. There's also a large number of Microsoft documentation and general documentation around that you can work through as well.
Okay, sounds good. And we are getting more questions here. So will this video be shared after this webinar? Yes, that will happen.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. The video will be made available after this session.
Okay, perfect. And we got one more question. What is the difference between surveys and Microsoft Forms?
The main difference is the integration with Dynamics and some of the variables setup. The Microsoft Forms are a bit more freely available, and they do a very similar amount of functionality when it comes to generating the surveys, but the reporting tie-ins with Dynamics, and notably these activity links here that you get inside of Dynamics, are not available in Microsoft Forms. Those are the main key points for the differences. I would be saying that customer voice is just a more specialized tool and has a little bit more functionality in a few ways.
That's good. Thank you, Lee. And we got one more question. Is there a limit to the number of surveys you can send out?
I haven't found it yet. I've been trying, but I haven't reached it yet.
Sounds good.
The
And
only thing
also,
I would
okay,
add as a mild
yeah,
addendum to that is there is some limitations to with Power Automate for how many runs that you can do. Now, keep in mind, Power Automate has its own set of licensing for sending out the survey, but you would be looking at, I'd say, several thousand surveys at a minimum before you got anywhere near that limit for sending them out by automation.
sounds good. And also, we got another question. Can we create a custom email template?
Yes, you can create a custom email template. In that, it is through this email section when we're looking through it. Each of these can be made as custom for creating new ones that you run through. So making a brand new one there. We'll need to there we go. There's the new custom one. Keep in mind as well that how you have the automation sending these out will be how it picks the email template. So if I skip back to the Power Automate, this little drop down here of the automation of template determines which email template is being sent out. So while you've created one, if you want it to flow through the automations, you'll need to update it there.
Okay. All right. And then, is there any more questions? Looks like that's it.
No problem.
All right.
As a general rule, there is a lot more functionality to this overall. I've gone for the high level, getting the general experience that I imagine everyone will be using. If you look around, you'll find more details, particularly around setting up the variables and collecting information, and what you can do with the automations and bringing it back into Dynamics. A lot of functionality, but for just getting started and getting a base feel of it, everything we've covered today should be available to everyone and usable straight out of the box.
Sounds good. All right. I believe it's time for us to wrap it up then. Thank you everyone for the time today. If you have any questions, queries, please feel free to contact Lee or myself. Uh, and at the same time, we have an ongoing campaign discount for the end of the year for existing customers. You can register till the end of November. Please feel free to take the advantage of it. We will send you an email after this webinar with the link, and as well as a survey. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day. Thank you so much.
Cheers, everyone.